The maternity ward hummed with the usual activity as Nurse Linda started her morning rounds, checking vital signs and offering reassuring words to the new mothers. However, when she approached room 312, a sense of unease settled over her. Inside, Anna, a first-time mother who had given birth just the day before, sat motionless, gazing out the window with a distant expression. Linda's experienced eyes quickly noted Anna's withdrawn posture, shoulders slumped, arms tightly crossed. She was flinching at the faintest sound from the hallway. Something wasn't right. Linda's instincts kicked in. She entered the room with her usual warm smile, but with heightened caution. "Good morning, Anna. How are you feeling today?" Linda asked gently. Anna barely responded, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm fine," she murmured, eyes fixed on the window. Linda moved closer, her trained eye picking up subtle signs of distress. As she began her routine check, her thoughts raced back to a recent training session on domestic violence during and after pregnancy. She had learned how common it was for victims to hide their abuse, and the fear of further harm could silence them when they needed help the most. That's when she saw the bruises peeking out from beneath Anna's hospital gown. Her heart sank, but she maintained a calm, steady demeanor. "I need to check your incision site. Is that okay?" she asked, trying to sound casual while hoping Anna would feel comfortable enough to open up. Anna nodded, her eyes briefly meeting Linda's, and in that moment, Linda noticed something: fear. A desperate, silent plea for help. As Linda gently lifted Anna's gown to check, more bruises came into view. It was clear that Anna was hiding a deeper, darker truth. Linda knew she couldn't push too hard. Victims of domestic violence often deny the abuse due to fear or shame, and a wrong move could push Anna away. Linda needed to create a space where Anna could feel safe to talk, without feeling pressured. Taking a seat beside the bed, Linda spoke softly. "Anna, I want you to know that you're safe here. If you ever want to talk about anything, I'm here to listen." The room fell silent, save for the soft beeping of medical equipment and the distant sound of newborns crying. Linda waited, her heart racing as she hoped for a breakthrough. "How are you adjusting to motherhood?" Linda asked, keeping her tone casual, her voice warm and non-judgmental. Anna's gaze dropped to her hands. "It's harder than I expected," she whispered. Linda nodded sympathetically. "Many new mothers feel that way. Is anyone helping you at home?" she asked, phrasing it as though she were asking about a supportive partner. Anna hesitated. "My husband, he works a lot," she replied, her voice tight. Linda noticed the discomfort in Anna's words, the tension in her tone, and she filed it away for later. As they continued their quiet meal together, Linda worked to create a comfortable atmosphere, sharing small stories about her nursing career. She listened actively, validating Anna's feelings without judgment. Slowly, Linda noticed subtle changes in Anna's body language. Her shoulders relaxed a little, and she even offered brief smiles at Linda's jokes. As their meal ended, Linda seized the opportunity. Gently, she asked, "Do you feel safe at home, Anna?" The question seemed to hang in the air for an eternity. Anna froze, her face pale, and for a moment, Linda feared she had overstepped. Then, with a trembling voice, Anna finally spoke. "No," she whispered. "I'm not safe. I'm so scared." Tears welled up in her eyes, and Linda's heart broke for the young mother. But she also knew this was a crucial moment. Anna's confession marked the beginning of a path towards safety, though it would be difficult. Linda moved closer, offering a tissue and her comfort. "You're very brave for telling me, Anna," she said softly. "What you're experiencing is not your fault. There are people who can help you and your baby stay safe." Anna's words came out in sobs, describing the escalating abuse she had endured during her pregnancy. Linda's mind raced, knowing that every second counted. She needed to act quickly to ensure Anna's safety, especially now that the threat of Anna's husband loomed. But for now, Linda focused on what Anna needed most: reassurance, support, and understanding. She would continue to create a safe space where Anna could find the courage to seek help when she was ready. As Linda sat with Anna, the weight of the situation pressed heavily on her. The next few hours would be critical. Yet, Linda knew that for Anna, the hardest part had already been done. She had finally spoken the truth. The thought sent a chill down Linda's spine. She couldn't allow Anna to become just another tragic statistic. A study in the Journal of Emergency Nursing had emphasized how crucial the first 24 to 48 hours were after a victim disclosed abuse. That brief window of time could make all the difference between a successful intervention and a return to the cycle of violence. Linda carefully weighed her options. She could call security, but would it draw too much attention? Moving Anna to a different room seemed like a good idea, but how could she explain it to her colleagues? Each potential solution carried its own risks and complications. As Linda deliberated, she remembered an important lesson from her domestic violence training. Abusers often have a network of enablers, including family, friends, or even healthcare workers, who unknowingly assist in maintaining control over their victims. Linda realized she couldn't trust just anyone with this sensitive information. The tension in the room was palpable as she made her decision. She needed help, but it had to be discreet. She couldn't risk Anna's husband or anyone sympathetic to him finding out. Squeezing Anna's hand reassuringly, Linda said softly, "I'm going to step out for just a moment to get help. I promise I'll be right back. You're safe here." As Linda stood to leave, she saw a mixture of relief and terror in Anna's eyes. The young mother nodded, clutching her newborn to her chest. As Linda approached the door, her mind raced, calculating who she could trust with such a delicate situation. A wrong choice could have catastrophic consequences. She needed someone with experience in handling domestic violence, someone who could navigate the complex legal and ethical landscape ahead. With a deep breath, Linda stepped into the hallway and headed toward the security office, where she sought out Officer James. A seasoned security guard with specialized training in domestic violence cases, James was the right person to help. Linda quickly explained the situation, speaking in a low voice and keeping her demeanor calm. Together, they began to craft a strategy that would ensure Anna's safety without raising suspicion. They reviewed the hospital layout, shift changes, and the unpredictable nature of Anna's husband. Linda suggested using a little-known service elevator near the maternity ward, which led directly to a loading dock. Officer James agreed, but emphasized the need for a safe house, coordinating with local law enforcement. As he made discreet calls to his contacts, Linda arranged for a trusted nurse to take over her other patient. With every detail fine-tuned, they coordinated code words over the hospital's communication system to ensure safe movement. The tension grew with every passing minute. Linda knew Anna's husband could show up at any moment, potentially derailing everything. They had to act quickly, yet discreetly. Linda marveled at the intricate web of support forming around Anna and her child, from hospital security to local shelters to law enforcement. But she knew that the smallest mistake could undo everything. Stepping back into Anna's room, Linda forced a reassuring smile, knowing her body language could betray their plans. She asked, "How are you feeling?" while performing routine checks, all the while maintaining the appearance of normal postpartum care. Anna's eyes darted nervously to the clock, and Linda noticed the internal struggle on her face. Fear, hope, and uncertainty all mixed together. Drawing on her training in trauma-informed care, Linda used slow, deliberate movements and spoke in a calm, steady tone. "Remember to take deep breaths," she reminded Anna, gently guiding her through a breathing exercise. They talked about her baby's feeding schedule and sleep patterns, distracting Anna from her fear and maintaining their cover. As minutes ticked by, Linda glanced at her watch. Officer James and his team were ready. The hospital was beginning to bustle with the change of shifts, providing the perfect cover. But Anna was growing more anxious, her eyes darting to the door at every sound in the hallway. Linda noticed the signs of panic and intervened softly. "Let's practice the breathing exercise again." She guided Anna through a grounding technique, asking her to focus on her senses and name things she could see, touch, hear, smell, and taste in the room. The exercise helped calm Anna, easing the tension in her shoulders. It wasn't a complete transformation, but it was enough to help Anna maintain composure for what was to come. Just then, Linda's pager vibrated. It was time to move. She turned to Anna, her voice low and steady. "Anna, it's time. Are you ready?" Anna nodded, her eyes filled with fear and determination. As they stepped into the busy hallway, Linda's heart raced. In a hospital full of watchful eyes, how could they possibly slip away unnoticed? The next few minutes would test their courage and cunning. Guiding Anna gently out of bed, Linda explained, "We're just going for a short walk. It's important to get your circulation going after delivery." Her voice betrayed none of the anxiety she felt inside. They navigated through the maternity ward, taking a less frequented route toward the service elevator. Every footstep echoed loudly in Linda's ears as they turned corners, the risk of discovery growing. Nearing an intersection of hallways, Linda steered Anna to the opposite side, using a supply cart as cover. Just then, the newborn in Anna's arms stirred, threatening to cry out. Anna quickly soothed the baby, her maternal instincts kicking in. As they neared the elevator, Linda spotted a security guard making his rounds. She calmly steered Anna into a nearby linen closet, pretending to search for a fresh blanket. The guard passed without a second glance, and they continued on their way. Finally reaching the service elevator, Linda pressed the call button. The seconds felt like an eternity. When the door slid open, she ushered Anna inside, her hand protectively on the young mother's back. The elevator descended smoothly, and Linda watched as the floor numbers ticked down, bringing them closer to safety. At the loading dock, Officer James and his team were waiting. Linda guided Anna toward the unmarked vehicle, each step feeling like a small victory. As they approached the car, Linda saw tears of relief welling up in Anna's eyes. The reality of their escape was finally sinking in. But just as Anna's tears began to fall, a new threat loomed. What if the greatest danger wasn't her abuser, but a well-meaning friend? In domestic violence situations, good intentions can sometimes lead to disaster. As Linda watched the car disappear into the night, her mind raced. There was still much to be done to ensure Anna's continued safety. Just as she reached for the door back into the hospital, she heard a familiar voice. "Linda!" Sarah, a fellow nurse, jogged toward her, holding a piece of paper. "I was looking for Anna." Her husband called the nurse's station asking about her. He sounded really worried. Linda's heart pounded. This was exactly the situation they had feared. Well-meaning colleagues inadvertently jeopardizing Anna's escape. She had to think fast. "Thanks for letting me know, Sarah," Linda said with a forced smile. "I actually just transferred Anna to a different floor for some additional monitoring. Standard procedure, you know." Sarah's brow furrowed. "Really? I didn't see any transfer orders in the system. And why would we move a new mother in the middle of the night?" Linda felt a bead of sweat on her forehead. Miscommunication could be disastrous in cases like this. "It was a last-minute decision," Linda said, thinking quickly. "We noticed some concerning vital signs and wanted to be cautious. I was just about to update the system." Sarah still seemed skeptical. What should I tell her husband? He seemed really anxious to speak with her. Linda's mind raced. "I'll handle it," she said, forcing another calm smile. "Thanks again for letting me know." The moment Sarah left, Linda felt a blend of relief and rising anxiety. She had narrowly avoided a crisis, but how long could they keep the secret from Anna's husband? How many well-meaning colleagues might inadvertently jeopardize Anna's safety? Time was running out, and Linda needed to act quickly. Hurrying back to the nurse's station, her mind began working on a cover story for Anna. She would need to brief the night staff, ensure all communication went through her or Officer James, and keep a careful eye on any potential risks. Meanwhile, an unexpected visitor arrived at the front desk. The automatic doors slid open, and a man, clearly agitated, made his way to the reception desk. It was Anna's husband. His tense posture and frantic gaze gave away his mounting anger as he demanded to see his wife. "I'm here to see my wife, Anna. She just had our baby, and I can't reach her. Where is she?" His voice was strained, barely containing his fury. Janet, the receptionist, stayed calm, replying, "Let me check our system for you, sir. May I have your wife's full name?" She began to pretend to search the computer, using strategies to delay him, buying time for security to respond if needed. "I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not seeing any patient by that name," she said apologetically. "Are you sure she was admitted here?" His frustration grew. "Of course, I'm sure. I drove her here myself yesterday." Janet nodded sympathetically. I understand your concern. Let me contact the maternity ward directly to get more information. Please have a seat, and I'll update you soon." As Anna's husband reluctantly moved away from the desk, Janet signaled to security. The clock was ticking, and every second counted. The man paced around the lobby, checking his phone, his anger escalating. Janet kept her composure, making calls while secretly monitoring the situation, her heart racing. Minutes later, Linda arrived, her face carefully neutral. Approaching Anna's husband, she introduced herself as the charge nurse from the maternity ward. "I understand you're looking for your wife," she said calmly. "There's been a computer glitch, and her records were temporarily misplaced. She's undergoing some routine postpartum tests. We can't allow visitors during this time, but I assure you, she's receiving excellent care. If you'd like to wait, I can keep you updated." The man was clearly suspicious, but Linda's authoritative tone seemed to pause his agitation. "How long will these tests take?" he asked sharply. "It's hard to say," Linda replied. "Every patient is different, but I promise I'll keep you informed. In the meantime, our cafeteria is open if you'd like something to eat." Anna's husband reluctantly walked toward the cafeteria, and Linda's pager vibrated with an urgent message. Officer James had arrived with important news that could make or break their plan. She met Officer James in a secluded corner. His face was grim. "We need more time. We've got to gather more evidence from his phone and car." Linda was taken aback. She had been so focused on getting Anna to safety that she hadn't considered the broader implications. Officer James explained their strategy. "Every minute you can keep him here increases our chances of securing a solid case against him." Linda, taking a deep breath, composed herself. "What do you need me to do?" she asked, her voice steady despite the situation. "Keep him occupied without raising suspicion. If he gets even a hint, he might destroy the evidence or try to find Anna." Linda's mind raced. This was a different kind of pressure than her usual nursing duties. This time, every word, every action could have dire consequences. Her plan formed quickly. She'd use her medical expertise to craft a believable reason for Anna's extended absence, perhaps suggesting routine complications requiring further monitoring. She couldn't provide too much detail, though, as any slip-up could raise alarms. As Linda navigated the conversation with Anna's husband, his questions grew more agitated, but Linda remained calm. Every second she could delay him was another step toward gathering more evidence and ensuring justice for Anna. Then, Linda noticed a signal from Officer James across the room. His subtle movement told her that the undercover operation was ready to move forward. She led Anna's husband away from the cafeteria, trying to remain calm as the officers silently moved into position around them. "Mr. Johnson, I have an update on your wife's condition," she said smoothly, trying to keep his attention focused on her. "Would you mind stepping over here with me?" Within moments, officers closed in on Anna's husband, surrounding him. "Sir, you're under arrest," Officer James announced. The arrest unfolded smoothly. Anna's husband, caught off guard, offered no resistance. Meanwhile, the hospital's administration was beginning to address a more systemic issue. As Anna began her journey of recovery, the chief medical officer, Dr. Samantha Chun, presented research showing that hospitals with standardized screening protocols for domestic violence identified up to 30% more cases compared to those without. This research made a strong case for implementing such a program, not just as a medical intervention, but as a holistic approach to patient care. However, implementing the new program wasn't without challenges. There were concerns about privacy, the need for staff training, and collaboration with local support services. Legal and financial concerns also arose. Dr. James Foster, the head of the emergency department, shared a poignant anecdote. "Just last week, we treated a woman for her third accidental fall this year. I can't help but wonder if we could have intervened earlier if we had the right protocols in place." After much discussion, the administration voted to implement a comprehensive domestic violence screening program. This marked a pivotal moment in the hospital's history. In the following weeks, staff received intensive training to recognize signs of abuse and respond appropriately. Partnerships with local shelters and legal aid were formed, reinforcing the importance of collaboration in addressing domestic violence. The changes made in the hospital set a new standard of care, one that prioritized patient safety not just from a medical perspective, but from every angle of a person's well-being. This part of the story picks up with the ongoing shifts in both healthcare and social movements regarding domestic violence. It showcases how Anna, the survivor, not only rebuilt her life with the help of support systems, but also became an advocate for others going through similar struggles. Her transformation from a victim to a survivor and then to an advocate highlights the importance of sharing stories to inspire change and provide hope. It also delves into the professional challenges healthcare providers face when dealing with domestic violence, especially the emotional toll it takes on caregivers. Nurse Linda's efforts to implement a comprehensive training program for her colleagues show how frontline healthcare workers can make a profound difference in identifying and supporting victims. The story takes a deeper dive into the national conversations about the role of healthcare in addressing societal issues like domestic violence. It explores the pushback from some medical professionals about the scope of healthcare responsibility and privacy concerns, while others highlight the life-saving benefits of such interventions. As the conversation grows, so does the recognition of the need for systemic changes, and the story demonstrates how individual actions, like Linda's proposal for a training program and Anna's public speaking, can lead to broader societal transformations. Their work challenges the limits of the healthcare system, especially when it comes to addressing hidden societal issues like domestic violence. This conclusion points out that societal change often begins with small, personal actions, and that these individual efforts can spark larger movements, making a lasting impact on national policies and public consciousness. The overarching message is that both healthcare professionals and survivors like Anna play crucial roles in breaking the silence around abuse, pushing for better systems of support, and ultimately creating positive change in society.